Picture this, 3 teenagers hunched over their keyboards, not in some shadowy lair, but just regular rooms in New Jersey, Pittsburgh, and Louisiana. What started as tinkering with Minecraft servers quickly spiraled into one of the largest cyber attacks in internet history. The Mirai Botnet, as it came to be known, would soon enslave hundreds of thousands of devices worldwide. Now, you might be wondering, how does a harmless gaming rivalry turn into a global security crisis? That's the question at the heart of today's story. Let me tell you, these weren't stereotypical criminal masterminds. They were motivated by something surprisingly relatable, competition in the Minecraft world. Their initial aim? To win the upper hand in the lucrative business of Minecraft server hosting. But as they experimented with denial of service or DDoS attacks, a technique that floods servers with traffic to knock them offline, their ambitions and repercussions exploded far beyond what they ever imagined. So, how did a little friendly rivalry unleash chaos across the globe? Stay with me as we dig into the technical and human side of the Mirai Botnet and its lasting impact on the digital world. It's not just about hackers. It's about how everyday devices, think baby monitors and webcams, became unwitting soldiers in a cyber war. Ready to find out how? Let's dive in. And if you thought Minecraft was just a game, what you'll hear might just change your mind about the power of play in the digital age. You've probably heard of Minecraft, a blocky, creative video game played by millions. But did you know that hosting a Minecraft server can bring in over $100,000 a month? This digital gold rush led to fierce competition and, inevitably, foul play. Enter the DDoS attack, a brute force method of overwhelming a server with traffic, much like a traffic jam blocking every lane of a highway. Now imagine you're a server owner. If you can't keep your service online, your players and profits disappear. Some enterprising teens realized they could use DDoS attacks as a weapon to knock competitors offline. They weren't just playing the game, they were gaming the system. Here's where things get technical. A botnet. Think of it as a zombie army of infected devices, all controlled remotely. These teens, through clever coding and manipulation of default passwords, recruited millions of vulnerable Internet of Things, or IoT, devices into their botnet. It was like discovering you could command every car left with the keys in the ignition. At first, the goal was simple: dominate Minecraft. But as the scale of their botnet grew, so did the temptation to flex its muscles in bigger arenas. The line between digital prank and international incident was about to blur. Isn't it wild to think a rivalry over a digital sandbox could threaten the very infrastructure of the internet? That's the power and danger of unintended consequences in our connected world. Let's break down what made Mirai so devastating. First, Mirai targeted IoT devices, everything from DVRs to security cameras. Many of these gadgets shipped with default usernames and passwords like admin and 12345. Sound familiar? Probably because you've never changed yours either. Mirai scanned the internet for these factory settings and, upon finding them, infected the device, turning it into a bot, a remote-controlled agent in their cyber army. This process is known as exploitation and propagation. In layman's terms, it's like a flu that spreads because no one bothers to wash their hands. Within the first 20 hours, Mirai had infected over 65,000 devices, doubling every 76 minutes. By the time most experts realized what was happening, hundreds of thousands of compromised devices were flooding the web with attack traffic. Now, you might ask, why didn't anyone stop it sooner? The answer is a mix of complacency and underestimation. The scale of the attack caught everyone, from device manufacturers to cybersecurity firms, completely off guard. Let this be a reminder. The weakest link in cybersecurity is often the simplest oversight, like never changing a password. September 2016, French hosting giant OVH is suddenly hit with a tidal wave of data, over 1.1 terabits per second. And to put that into perspective, that's like trying to drink from a fire hose the width of a swimming pool. This wasn't an ordinary DDoS attack. It was the internet's first true cyber hurricane. OVH's chief technology officer took to Twitter, sounding the alarm for data centers and ISPs across the world. Traditional mitigation, filtering traffic and increasing bandwidth just couldn't keep up. Mirai's attacks were different because they could target entire IP address ranges, not just single servers. Two terms you should know here: amplification and vector. Mirai's attacks amplified traffic by leveraging the high-speed broadband of compromised devices, and the vectors, methods of attack, were so varied that defending against them felt like playing whack-a-mole. The attack didn't just disrupt OVH, it sent a message to the entire cybersecurity community. The era of small-time DDoS was over. The gloves were off, and if you're wondering whether the internet could ever be turned off, OVH's experience proved that with enough firepower, it's not just possible, it's terrifyingly easy. Just days after the OVH attack, Mirai set its sights on Brian Krebs, a renowned cybersecurity journalist. His website, Krebs on Security, was hit with a 623 gigabit per second attack. Double anything the industry had seen before. Imagine trying to hold back Niagara Falls with a garden hose. Why target a journalist? Well, Krebs had published investigations exposing shady dealings in the DDoS for hire world. This was retaliation, a digital silencing. It worked. The attack was so intense that his protection service dropped him for being too risky. This incident highlights two critical cybersecurity concepts: collateral damage and threat attribution. Not only did the attack silence a journalist, but it also made it nearly impossible to trace the perpetrators since the botnet's zombie devices sprawled across the globe. Now you might be thinking, should we worry about hackers targeting the press? It's a real concern. The Mirai case proved that cyber attacks aren't just about money. They can be about silencing voices and shaping narratives. It was a moment when the world realized, in the digital age, freedom of speech and cybersecurity are deeply intertwined. On October 21st, 2016, the Mirai Botnet struck again, this time targeting DIN, a company responsible for a crucial piece of internet infrastructure known as DNS, or Domain Name System. If you've ever wondered how typing, google.com, takes you to Google, thank DNS. By overwhelming DIN, Mirai knocked out access to major sites, Amazon, Netflix, Reddit, PayPal, and more, across the US and Europe. It was like cutting the main cable that powers an entire city block. Technical terms alert, reflection attack, and recursive queries. Mirai used reflection attacks to bounce traffic off unwitting servers, amplifying its power. Recursive queries, where servers repeatedly ask each other for information, became a force multiplier, making the attack even more potent. The timing, just weeks before the U.S. presidential election, fueled fears of nation-state interference. Was this Russia, China? In the end, the extraordinary was ordinary. It was just three young men, not a foreign government, behind the chaos. The DIN attack forced the world to reckon with a new reality. The internet's backbone could be rattled by a few lines of code. Here's a question for you. How many devices in your home are connected to the internet? A smart thermostat? A camera? Maybe even your fridge? Each one is a potential target for malware like Mirai. The rise of IoT, or Internet of Things, brought convenience, but also unprecedented risk. Many manufacturers prioritize cost and speed over security, shipping devices with hard-coded credentials and no way to update them. Think of it as every door in your house having the same generic lock, and the key is published online. Mirai exploited two fatal flaws: default authentication and lack of firmware updates. Firmware is the device's basic operating system. Without regular security patches, these gadgets never stood a chance. The result? Southeast Asia and South America became infection hotspots as millions of devices were pressed into service for cyber attacks without their owners ever knowing. It's a sobering reminder. As our homes get smarter, our defenses must get smarter too, or risk becoming pawns in the next global cyber offensive. As Mirai's attacks escalated, the FBI's Anchorage Cyber Squad swung into action. Think cyber cops, not just in big cities, but traveling by plane to remote Alaskan villages, tracking infected devices down to living rooms and small businesses. Their investigation used forensic analysis, painstakingly reconstructing network data and reverse engineering malware code. Picture a detective piecing together shredded documents, but in binary across oceans. Two key techniques were critical: honeypots and subpoena powers. Honeypots are fake, vulnerable devices set up to attract malware, revealing attacker behavior. Subpoena power allowed the FBI to trace infected devices to real-world owners, crossing international borders with the help of global law enforcement. Now you might be thinking, how do you catch someone hiding behind thousands of zombie computers? It's a digital needle in a haystack challenge made harder by online anonymity and global reach. But with determination and a little luck, the FBI closed in, proving that even in the vast, anonymous world of cyberspace, you can't hide forever. The big reveal came not from a dark web sting, but a courtroom in Alaska. The masterminds, Paris Jha, Josiah White, and Dalton Norman, barely out of their teens, with a knack for programming and a taste for mischief. Jha, a Rutgers student, was the main coder, known online as Anna Senpai. White managed infrastructure, building a fast internet scanner, while Norman specialized in zero-day exploits, previously unknown software vulnerabilities. Zero-day and infrastructure, two terms that sound technical but are crucial. Zero-day means there's no defense yet, while infrastructure is the backbone that connects everything. Together, they built a botnet that could outpace anything seen before. Ironically, these young men didn't set out to be villains. Their original motive was profit, cornering the Minecraft server market. But as their creation grew, so did their willingness to push boundaries, from DDoS to click fraud. Their guilty pleas showed that the line between white hat curiosity and black hat crime can be razor thin, especially in the high-stakes world of cybercrime. You might think the story ends with arrests, but here's the twist. After the Krebs attack, Mirai's creators released their botnet code online. Suddenly, anyone could build or modify their own cyber weapon. It's like handing out free blueprints for a digital doomsday device. In the months that followed, more than 15,000 attacks were attributed to Mirai or its variants. Major incidents included the blackout of 900,000 routers in Germany and even taking the entire country of Liberia offline. Two ideas to consider: code reuse and mutation. Open source code allows attackers to copy, tweak, and unleash new variants, each with unique tricks and targets. The arms race never ends. Private industry, law enforcement, and network operators scrambled to collaborate, sharing real-time intelligence in chat rooms and Slack channels to identify and neutralize new threats. Today, the Mirai code still lives on, reinvented, repurposed, and redeployed, reminding us that the consequences of one moment's decision can echo through the digital world for years to come. So, what have we learned from Mirai? First, that our digital world is only as strong as its weakest link, and too often that's an insecure device or an unwary user. Second, that cyber threats aren't just the work of shadowy states or criminal syndicates. They can come from anyone, anywhere, with the right knowledge and motive. Mitigation and resilience, those are today's watchwords. Mitigation means taking steps to reduce risk, changing default passwords, updating firmware, and segmenting networks. Resilience is about bouncing back, having backups, disaster recovery plans, and robust incident response teams. Now you might be thinking, is there hope? Absolutely. The Mirai saga galvanized global cooperation, from private sector alliances to law enforcement partnerships. It also spurred manufacturers to rethink device security. But the threats evolve. New botnets like Satori continue where Mirai left off. The arms race isn't over, and it may never be. So next time you plug in a smart device, remember the story of Mirai. In cybersecurity, vigilance isn't optional, it's essential. Thanks for joining me on this journey through one of cyber history's most unforgettable chapters.